Hi everyone, TARDIS guy 123 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the E-Space Trilogy. This is my second take, by the way, so forgive me if I sound a little bored during this. It's just that I've been through it once before. Why it was a second tape? Well, it just decided to stop recording halfway through. I didn't realise it, but nevertheless, let's get on with the second tape, and that is Doctor Who, 4th Doctor there, Romana, Adric, K9, TARDIS entering E-Space Trilogy, and also the Doctor is in his Season 18 outfit, which, love it or hate it, I don't find it too terrible. I prefer his other one though, but this very much fits with the 80s feel. And Full Circle, Stage Decay and Warrior's Gate are your stories. So Adric arrives, Romana and K9 depart, and the Doctor battles vampires in these 3 classic Tom Baker adventures, and it's a 3-disc set. So I chose to do this review, that's your spine by the way, because I recently did the, what's it called? The new E-Space Trilogy with Mistfall, Equilibrium, and, what is it? The Entry Plague, that's it. And I did that with, that was with Peter Davison. So I thought, why not go back and look at the original one? And also, today is Peter Davison's birthday, so Big Finish have a deal going on in which you can get 5th Doctor box set and whatnot for cheaper than you normally would. And I definitely recommend getting the 5th Doctor box set, as I feel Adric is very good in that, and obviously Adric is here too. That's my only very weak link to that. But anyway, Full Circle here, Marshmen on the cover, rather simple cover but effective. There's your spine, and here is the back, and in this we have commentary, of course, all aboard the Styliner, which you basically look back over the making of the story. It's quite interesting. K9 and E-Space, a little documentary, but nevertheless an enjoyable one. E-Space Fact or Fiction, you know, I recommend that if you're into science and whatnot. It's very scientific, that. And then you also have Swap Shop and some other stuff. So quite special. Quite a few special features in this. There is your booklet. Take that out and have a look at the side. There you go, basic stuff, and chapter points. So, what did I think of Full Circle? I thought it was quite a strong start to the E-Space Trilogy. It's very much a two-hander between the Doctor and Adric, or Tom Baker and Matthew Waterhouse. And you know, a lot of people say Matthew Waterhouse's acting is not too good. You know, and they hate the character of Adric because of it and whatnot. And you know, there are loads of things going around. I don't hate the character of Adric. I don't find him that bad, to be honest. I think he's a fairly, that's going to fall over. Yeah, I think he's a fairly good character, to be honest. However, I do feel at times someone should have given him a prop or something to do, as a lot of the time he stands with his hands in his pocket, like in the cave scenes. Some of them are sharpening their knives or whatever and doing stuff around the outside. He's just standing there waiting to say his line, and that's, well, admittedly it could be his fault. Yeah, I think someone should at least pointed it out and at least tried, rather than just leaving him there empty-handed. You know, admittedly it is partly his fault, but others should take the blame as well. And you know, he very much tries, and especially in the dialogue, you know, he can deliver dialogue. That's why I think he was good for Big Finish. It's just, he often stands around that, and that makes him, you know, a bit of an unbelievable character. But nevertheless, you know, he plays his part in the story. As I said before, it's very much between him and Tom Baker. Romana, towards the start, she gets a fair amount to do in this, but then in the second half, she's kind of like just reduced into the background, forced to play a very primal role, I guess would be the best way to describe it, because she very much almost becomes a marshman and whatnot, or a marsh creature. She gets infected by a spider, and that is basically what happens to her. That's basically a storyline, and I do like this story. I think it's very smart. It's a very smart story and a lot of revelations. Same with Mistfall, it very much builds up the world of Alzarius and the mystery of Alzarius. And, you know, Tom Baker what a wonderful performance he gives in this. He gives a very strong performance. Yeah, he is booming out. You know, he's very much showing his rage towards the Deciders in a lot of this story. I think that's very good stuff, very strong stuff. He does an amazing job with that. Tom Baker, well done. You know, a lot of people say he doesn't do the best job after Hinchcliffe leaves and whatnot, but here he is obviously back on track, and also in State of Decay, which I'll talk about in a minute. You know, he's very much back on track with those two stories. So why not rate this and then move on to State of Decay itself? Full Circle, 8 out of 10. It's not flawless. It does have its fair share of problems. Some of them I previously mentioned. You know, the Outlaws. You know, I think there was a bit too much focus on the Deciders actually. A bit too much focus on their storyline and whatnot. And the piece does drag in places. But nevertheless, you know, overall Full Circle is an enjoyable story. So, good start. How will it continue with State of Decay? Well, it just gets better and better. State of Decay is wonderful. I'll explain why in a minute, but first, let's, of course, go through the normal procedure. You got Orc on there, and Camilla, I think, and I can't remember his name, the king. You got the castle / spaceship in the background. That's quite a smart plot point to this. This and Full Circle are very smart stories, and the Doctor and Romana there, with the bats flying around and whatnot, I very much like this cover. It's my favourite cover of the set. And there's your spine. And on the back, we have special features, commentary, the Vampire Lovers, which looks back over the making of this, film trims, Leaves of Blood, an interesting look at kind of like literary fiction. So if you like horror, kind of like literature and whatnot especially, that might be an interesting read. That might be an interesting watch for you. The Blood Show, the use and meaning of blood in society. That has nothing to do with the story whatsoever, except for the blood part of it and vampires and whatnot. And it's a bit uncomfortable of a watch if you're a bit sensitive to blood and whatnot, but yeah, I guess it's okay. And then there's the framing reading, which looks at kind of like how culture and vampirism and whatnot affected the story. So that's that. And then on the inside, oh, almost forgot to show you the disc there. There's your disc, and this has a slightly different cover. And there's the inside, and the chapter points, of course, the all-important chapter points. So, what did I think of State of Decay? Another wonderful story, as I said before. Very smart with the tower and whatnot, and the three characters. It very much reveals itself slowly as it goes along. There's a lot of mystery to it, and I very much like that. The villains are very strong in this. These three, especially him in the middle, he is very strong. And I also like how it changes up the dynamic. Normally it would go king, then queen, then council, or in some cases king, council, and queen. But it very much flips that idea and goes to the council is very much the head of this. And he very much operates from the shadows, even though the king and the queen are kind of like the figureheads, the lords and whatnot. It is very much him who's in control. And then there's the queen, second up, and finally it's the king. She very much pushes the king around and whatnot. So that's quite an interesting dynamic going on there. I like that. It kind of like switches that up and makes it very different. He is a very menacing character, and I like all of that stuff. And the Doctor and Romana down there, it's very much between them two, this story is. It's a two-hander between them two. Adrix doesn't really get a whole lot to do in this. He's only got like a couple of scenes throughout the story. It very much feels like Terror Sticks didn't know what to do with the character whatsoever. He isn't written as the character, which isn't necessarily Terror Sticks' fault. It's more the original brief was for him to be a, what's it called, artful dodger type character, and it ended up going in a completely different direction eventually. But, you know, for this, he does do a fair bit of artful dodgering, you know, kind of trying to steal stuff and whatnot, which just doesn't really fit his character at all when you look back on it. Not sure what that noise was, but yeah, the story, not the best for Adric, but it is quite good in other places as well. Yeah, as I said before, the Lords are very strong. K9 pushed off to the side for a lot of it, but he is nevertheless playing a fair role in proceedings towards the end. So overall, State of Decay gets a solid 9 out of 10 from me. I really do like this story. It's my favourite of the set. So now, let's move on to the finale, Warrior's Gate. Will it hold up to what has gone before it? Well, find out that after we have a look at the cover. Of course, not the best cover. It's an interesting cover, it suits the story well. We've got the TARDIS and the TARDIS there, doing their different things. Tom Baker, a Farrell, whose name I've forgotten, and then there's the gateway itself, or the entrance to the gateway. And on the side there you have the spine, of course. And then on the back, special features are, this is a very special feature heavy box set. I think it's good for that if you like the special features. But we have got the Dreaming, which of course casts a crew back on making of the story. The Boy with Golden Star, which is Adric, Matthew Waterhouse, sorry, looking back on the character of Adric. And then we have Lala's Wardrobe, which is kind of looking back at her time on the show through the different costumes she wore. So that's quite an interesting little documentary. That's probably my favourite from the set, to be honest. I don't know why, it's just fun, and you get to hear kind of like different writers and actors and costume designers' opinions and whatnot. So let's open it up. There's the gateway on both of them, and here inside, so that stuff, and the chapter points. So then, yeah, it's not the best follow-up, it's my least favourite of the set, unfortunately. It has some redeeming features, it's not terrible by any means, but I just feel it doesn't work on me, and it's an experiment like Kinder, but to be honest I much prefer Kinder. I think Kinder was something that rubbed off very well on me, and it's an experiment that worked on me. This as an experiment didn't very much capture me at all. I did not understand what it was about in a lot of ways. It was very scientific, but also very odd. Yeah, the general concept is rather odd to describe. It's a very odd story, to be honest. That's the best way to describe it, I think. So, you know, it's very hard to describe. But let's go through it character by character. Tom Baker as the Doctor gets a fair amount to do in this, very much the backbone. But even then, a lot of it's just him wandering around, finding stuff out about society and whatnot. And once again, it's very kind of like, starts off all mysterious and eventually you get layers added on. I don't feel it does as well as Full Circle and State of Decay did in that regard. But, you know, it does its fair share of stuff. Yeah, the characters on the ship are rather forgettable at best and annoying at worst. Romana, given that this is her last story, she gets a decent amount to do, I guess, but you know, it feels very much like her departure was tacked on the end and should have been built up over the story, to be honest. It was, in a way, built up over the Space Trilogy, but it's very much only really brought up at the start of Full Circle and then right at the end here. And I guess there are little snippets, but I think that should have been weaved into the plot much more rather than stuck on the end. Adric, as he gets even less to do, to be honest. And there's a scene which I'm pretty sure was cut out or something, because 1 minute Adric's with K9, the next minute he's wandering about on his own and K9 showed up with the Doctor in the gateway. I don't know why that happened. Was the scene cut out? Was it not filmed? Was that just completely forgotten about? Were we expected to fill in the gaps? I'm not sure, to be honest, but that's a bit unfortunate. And there are another couple of instances like that, but that's the main one that comes to mind for me. And, you know, as I said, it's very experimental and a very slow burn. This story is quite slow, and some people may like that, others may not. So 6.5 for me. I'm going to say it's a fair story, but just far from the best of the box set. So then, the Space Trilogy overall. It's a fine little box set, especially for Full Circle and State of Decay. I'd say if you can find it for a good price, and to be honest there are loads of them going for a good price, I say buy it. You know, the ending may be disappointing, but then again it may work on you. It's very experimental, and you know, those kind of stories are very polarising. They have different effects on different people, as does everything, but you know, there is kind of like a common opinion and whatnot. And Full Circle and State of Decay, in my opinion, are very strong stories. Warrior's Gate is not. So then, all that's left to say is thank you for watching, everyone, and I will of course see you in the next video, which will be the review of Hot House. So until then, bye everyone.